Okay, the next thing, learn about a little bit about mikvah. You know, what constitutes a kosher mikvah? How is a mikvah built? Now, the laws of mikvah are extremely complicated. It says you need an expert in the building of a mikvah in order to build it. But just certain general rules about a mikvah. When the Torah says many times you have to wash, you have to wash your body in water, the Torah means a mikvah. Now the definition of a mikvah, bottom line, is not regular sink water. Regular sink water is good for a man's tumah, but we're talking about the other women's tumah, you know, in the time of the Bais Din, all those types of impurities. The mikveh has to be rainwater, number one.
Is mikveh considered mayan chayim, like only?
Mikveh is mikveh. Mayan chayim, mayan is a different story. But mikveh is natural rainwater that is not in the air, not in a keli. In other words, if somebody takes a swimming pool in their backyard and fills it up with rainwater, it's not going to be good, not for a man, not for a woman. Why? Because you can't immerse. A mikveh can't be a keli. A mikveh can be a vessel. The only way you could technically let them do something like that, if you take, let's say, a big swimming pool, and you make a hole in it a certain size that disqualifies it from being a keli, and then you connect it to the ground, so then sometimes it would be a good mikveh. Especially if it's rainwater. So you need, number one, cannot be a keli, it cannot be in the air, okay? It has to be rainwater. Now how much rainwater do you need? So the Torah says, you have to wash your whole body, your entire body. So the Chum established what is the definition, how much water is your whole body, that your whole body, average person, is covered with water. So the Gemara says it's the measurement of amma al amma b'reim sholosh ames, meaning it's 3 amas by 1 amma by 1 amma. Okay? So let's talk in feet. You should understand it better. An amma is approximately, especially for mikveh, they try to make it even bigger. But let's say, for argument's sake, an amma, a cubit, is 2 feet. That means a mikveh, minimal size of a mikveh, has to be 2 feet by 2 feet times 6 feet, which is basically 24 cubic feet of water. Which in modern measurements, I'm talking about minimal size. It's over 100 gallons of, approximately 100 gallons of water. Okay? But that is the minimal size of a mikveh. So let's say, for argument's sake, in the time of the Bais Din, a needle got impure, touched a dead body, or somebody impure touched the needles. You have to bring it to the mikveh. So you can't have, okay, a needle's tiny. I'll have 1 inch by 1 inch by 3 inches, and there'll be no, it's not a kosher mikveh. The minimal size of a mikveh has to be 24 cubic feet. That's the minimum size of the mikveh. The mikveh also needs to be, like we said, rainwater. So you can't have city water. Okay? Number 2.
Can it be instead of 2 by 2 by 6, 2 by...
It doesn't matter, as long as it's 24,
okay.
Well, obviously, you don't want, if for 24 cubit, you don't want 12 feet by 2 feet, because, a guy's not going to fit, it's not deep enough. But that's what?
At what length does the rainwater become city water?
Okay, we're going to talk about that. Once rainwater goes into a vessel, it's automatically disqualified. It's not anymore called rainwater. Now, a vessel could mean if the water, let's say you have rainwater in a mikvah, and it goes through a filter. And then the water comes back into the mikvah. Just the mikvah. The whole mikvah is rainwater. You filter out the pool, the rainwater, and now it comes back into the mikvah. So the fact that it went through a filter, which is a vessel, then it automatically disqualifies the water. It's called what's called mayim she'uvim. Mayim she'uvim means drawn water. When you draw water, it's a keli. Okay? So when you're getting rainwater in a mikvah, you have to make sure that the water is straight rainwater. Okay? So again, how do they get rainwater into the mikvah? So you have to be, it's very complicated. I'm just saying general things, not, practical stuff. So let's say you have the mikvah has a roof. Okay? Now the roof you make on a slant a little bit. At the end of the roof, you make a hole. That the water comes down when it rains. Okay? The water comes down. Like you ever see a gutter when it's pouring, the gutter is gushing water out, right? That's water coming from the roof. But you have to make sure that the water coming from the roof into the mikvah can't have any pipes that are right angled. If you have a pipe coming down from the roof into the mikvah and it's right angled, that area where the right angle is holds water. And if that holds water, then it's not kosher rainwater. Understand? They also have to make sure, it's interesting, I don't want to get into all the details, but let's say on the roof there's an air conditioning unit. Okay? And the air conditioning unit has edges to it. So sometimes when it rains, the water goes into those edges, which is a keli, and then spills over into the roof, and then, so you have to make sure that none of the air conditioning units or any other units on the roof, heating, whatever it is, that none of the water that you're collecting is going to even touch that area, because then it's not going to be rainwater. It's going to be real water that came after it was in the keli. So the big complication is how to get the rainwater coming straight down. Now, if it goes like this, it's not a problem, because then the water doesn't stay there. But in a right-angled pipe, in that corner of the right angle, the water stays. So then it becomes sink water. It's mayim she'uvim, drawn water. It's not rainwater.
So even a drop is
Well, it depends. It has to be gimel. Look, we're talking about the concept now, not I told you, not the practical halachos. But now the bigger problem is, okay, so let's say you get the rainwater into the mikvah. Now, the rainwater is going to become stagnated. You can't leave rainwater, it's going to be cold and it's going to be, dirty after a while. So what are you going to do? Get new rainwater every time? You can't do that. It's not practical. Even a city where it pours a lot, like Seattle, you're still not going to be able to do it. So what happens is like this. If you ever go to the mikveh, the men immerse in, or the women immerse in, is not rainwater.
What is immersion?
immersion.
Tovel. The toivlingen. That is not rainwater.
Oh, immersion.
Not practical, not realistic. Halachically it is. But realistically it's regular sink water that goes through a filter when they filter the mikvah. And then, so why is it kosher mikvah? It's not rainwater. Okay? So in order to make the sink water rainwater, there's a number of halachic ways of doing it. Now, one way basically is what's called hashaka. Hashaka comes from the word neshika. It kisses, which means like this. If I have, let's say this is, I know they can't see it on the sink. Let's say this is the board, it's called the board, the pit that everybody tables in. But next to it, or under it, we'll just see, there's rainwater. A bar of rainwater. Full rainwater. Now there's a hole in the mikvah connecting these two places. Okay? So now there's a hole from the rainwater into the tabling water. And from the tabling water, and it has to be a certain size, shver saneit, whatever. Then what happens halachically is the fact that the city water is kissing the rainwater, then the city water becomes rainwater. Halachically.
Not the vice versa?
Huh?
Not the vice versa? Not the other way?
No. You can't ruin a mikveh. Once you have a mikveh that's kosher, it's good. Okay?
This only if there is a certain amount of water that is more than the
Now, obviously, in the rainwater pool, you need the 24 cubic feet of rainwater. Now, today they don't build mikvahs like that. They build the triple amounts, double amounts, triple amounts to make sure,
it's safe.
Yeah. So now you have the sideboard, which is never filtered, changed every so often, whenever, depending how much rain you have and where you are. So then, because this city water kisses, hashaka means neshika, it kisses the rainwater, then it becomes halachically rainwater. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is, Hey, you're a scholar. Another way of doing it is what's called zriya. How do you know this? Okay. Another way of doing it is what's called zriya. Zriya means like this. You have the rainwater, okay, and then you have the sink water. Now, when you get the sink water into the mikvah water, you pour it into the rainwater, and then obviously it picks up, and then there's a hole that takes it into the city water. So the city water actually was zriya, meaning it was seeded in through the rainwater. It's not kissing it only. There's more than that. There's better than that. That it's actually,
That's what I bought.
huh?
That's what I bought.
That's zriya. Okay, so that's zriya. That's another way of making the city water kosher water. Those are the two ways basically most people use in making. Now, therefore, when you filter the city water, okay, because you have to filter every day. If not, it's going to be stagnated and dirty, and people are not going to want to use it. So the water goes out with a pipe at the bottom, okay, taking out the water from the from the city water, going through a pipe, a filter,
Mikveh water.
No, the city water that's Mal Mikveh water is going out through the filter system. It gets filtered. But now they do something else on the way back. There's a din that if you take, you don't rely on this only, but if you have city water and you draw it gimel tvachim, which is, let's say, 12 inches on top of ground.
Above ground.
No, it doesn't matter if it's above ground. Or you can have cement that's ground and could absorb the water. So if the water goes three tfachim, meaning 12 inches, let's say, over water, then it becomes rainwater again. So in the mikveh, they're machmed, they do all these things. They do hashaka, the waters kiss each other. Then they do zriya, when the water goes back from the filter into the...
They do zriya.
They do zriya, it goes through the side board of rainwater. And then it has also amshacha gimel tvachim, it goes from the filter, it goes in and 12 inches on the ground. Okay? Rolling on the ground, so that also, according to certain opinions, would make it good enough. Then it goes through the burr on the side, right? And then it goes back into the regular water. So that water again becomes rainwater.
Because there is enough water that they go.
Right. Because now because they're connected in three different ways, I mean, three tochim on the karka, and then you have also hashaka, the holes, and then you have zriya, it's going through it. So the bottom line is, then you have the city, the mikvah water is city water. I mean, the city water is mikvah. What?
What does it mean, karka? What constitutes karka? Is it stone or cement or plastic?
Cement is karka. The shaila is, can you coat the cement to make it waterproof? So many people say you shouldn't. If you did, it's not terrible. But I'm saying, l'chatchila, they try to not coat it because it should be karka that technically could absorb.
Permeable.
If it's coated with waterproof silicone or whatever, then it's not going to absorb the water. So it might not have a din of amshach gemut tvachim gabe karka.
What's the percentage ratio of the mayim shem zriya and mayim shem shika?
Oh, it goes through the
What
side.
percentage of the whole water?
Well, when they filter it out, it goes
Minimum amount.
Small amount.
small. Well, the filter is not small amounts.
How small? How small?
Doesn't matter how small.
The amount that goes to the filter is big amount?
Could be
Yeah.
1%.
The whole mikveh eventually becomes filtered in a few hours.
Yeah.
But now they have a new thing. Now the new mikvahs are built with a filter inside the mikveh. So then the water never leaves the mikveh. So all you're doing is circulating the water inside the mikveh. It's not going through a keli. The way it's made, it's not a keli. So it's just cleaning the water without even going out, going through a filtering system and then coming back
So you
in.
keep on being connected all the time.
Yeah.
You don't have to shut the filter when you go.
Then if that's the case, if the filter is inside the water, it's late, then you don't have to shut the filter. Like this, you have to shut the filter if you want a table. I mean, technically you have to shut the filter because a leaky mikveh is not kosher. So when the filter is working and water is going out,
Consider leaking.
it might be, it's questionable, whatever. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
But when you want to replace the filter, you have to shut it down.
So you shut it down and figure out how often you have to replace the filter.
What do they do about Zriya?
Huh?
When they do filter, what do they do about Zriya?
So there are different ways of doing it.